Today we're very excited. The Elizabeth City Area Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Museum of the Albemarle will be unveiling 6 new historic markers to become part of the National Civil War Trails. This is a very popular self-guided tour that links Civil War battlefields and historic sites in 28 states, with over 8 markers in Virginia, Maryland, Tennessee, and North Carolina.
We are met today not on the great battlefield of that war, but in a small town that endured 3 years of never-ending strife. We have come to honor the people caught between the skillet and Charybdis, the hammer and the anvil, of differing political wills and opposing armed forces. Secessionists, Unionists, guerrilla, buffalo, Caucasian, and African American each played a role in the struggle, and it is altogether fitting that we, in this series of markers, denote their singular contributions to the separate causes which they advocated. The trials of the people of Elizabeth City during the Civil War were many, and often ended in tragedy. First, there was fire. I can recall as a child seeing the Hinton or Carolina building burning downtown, and I won't say my age, but that probably shows it, deep into the night, and how it illuminated the night sky. We can only imagine what that was like in 1862. From that moment of fire forward, the city was divided in political action as well as in political thought. Local men joined both armed forces, Union and Confederate. Slaves found freedom, if not equality. Emancipation under presidential proclamation also came. Resistance from all people to opposing wills ruled the day. Bushwhacking by both groups of armed men, guerrilla and Unionists, became almost commonplace. And each side claimed the moral high ground as defenders of a nation conceived in liberty. These stories are emotionally draining. Why then should we tell them? Why do we dedicate these markers to those stories and describe those horrid events? Simply, their story is our story. In telling it, we have a chance to understand the sacrifices of our forefathers made 78 years ago. We can honor the dead. It is my sincere hope that these markers may lead to a deeper examination of the Civil War in this city. It is not the intent that these markers merely open old wounds, but rather it is sincerely hoped that they foster understanding and forgiveness, without which there can be no healing or learning. In short, we have much to learn from our forefathers, but in order to do so, we must come to know their story and learn from their struggles. To that end, we are here today to note the dedication of these markers, and in doing so, we honor the people and the nation.
Thank you and welcome to the Museum of the Albemarle. We're excited about the opportunity to talk more about the Civil War trails and the events that happened. The stories of people who have lived and are living in the Albemarle region are collected and exhibited in the museum. We are proud of their legacy, accomplishments, and the challenges they faced. They built a bridge to our times. We are fortunate to stand on their shoulders as people with our shared destiny as Americans. These 5 historic markers reveal the untold stories of local Civil War history. In 1862, the region was captured by the Union's Navy. The Federal Army occupation lasted from 1862 to 65, and the local people were split between the warring factions, pro-Union supporters, buffaloes, and pro-Confederate sympathizers, guerrillas. This bloody, murderous, and lawless period is recalled by some as a terrible time, which I think Chris explained in his talk. These Civil War markers will help all that view them to gain a better understanding of the most crucial period of American history. The Civil War is remembered for the great battles and the brilliant strategies of the generals that directed both armies. These markers are dedicated to everyday people at home who struggled and endured the atrocities of war. We dedicate these markers to honor these events and to address the lost history of the brave people that lived in the time of divided allegiance. Thanks.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be here today. It is really a pleasure as president of the Friends of the Museum of Albemarle and also as a member of the North Carolina Historic Commission. But I'll be honest, when Ed asked me to speak, he led my talk into a different direction. As some of you know, I am a retired school teacher, as Mrs. Blanchard, who is sitting in her beautiful costume. Yes, I forgot your married name. But I'm here not for the commission, but as a local history teacher. And you say, what? History? Why? Everybody teaches the Civil War. But you will learn that in the classroom, if you can touch a student by connecting them to something that happened in their local area, then the students remember that. A number of years ago, the Tar Heel Junior Historians published a magazine on the Civil War, and in it they had 7 letters from an eastern North Carolina farmer. I use those letters in my classroom because kids could relate to a gentleman writing home to his wife and saying, I miss you so much. I never thought I would see the day that I would have to bury my brother Charlie with my hands. And a wife writing to her husband, I'm not feeling well. If I don't get better, I'm going to go to the hospital. Or, as she spelled it, horse spittle. These letters touched students and made the Civil War real to them. What does that have to do with the markers that we're dedicating today? These markers have the same ability because they are talking about things that happen in this community, because they're talking about the ancestors of the people who are here, because they make the Civil War real to people. Too often, our history stays in history books. The Civil War trails and the markers that we're dedicating today have the ability to make the Civil War and what happened in Elizabeth City and in the surrounding Albemarle area real to people who are alive in the 21st century.
It is indeed an absolute honor to be here. I love marker dedications. We have 860 sites in 5 states. We are in 193 counties. 193 counties, and quite honestly, 193 different versions of reality. And I'll get back to that in just a moment. But on behalf of the 192 other localities in the program, congratulations for getting this done. These are magnificent signs. They're placed in places of honor throughout the town. Indeed, as Chris said, these are some very powerful stories here. The stories of divided loyalty, stories of the burning of the town, the Battle of Elizabeth City, the movement, the occupation, if you would, of the United States colored troops within the town, the execution site out here. Very powerful stories for a locality to tell you. And I've been 193 counties with this program, and that's 193 ways to approach one's history. And you're showing a great deal of maturity and sense of community by actually telling these stories that I have heard up until now really were just whispered across breakfast and dinner tables among well-known company and listeners. And that is a real tribute to Elizabeth City to bring these stories and markers out to the purview of not only the citizenry, but the traveling public. And you're to be congratulated and commended for that. I mean that as someone who sees this across the Mid-Atlantic. We commented quite often on the impact and the power of the stories being told here. Please read them. Please walk around and encourage groups to read them.
First of all, we'd like to thank our docents who are here in period costumes and the other docents who were here ready, willing, and able to stand by the various markers throughout the community and answer any questions that you might have. The markers are there. The docents probably will not be there, but they will be in the back, and certainly happy to answer any of the questions that you might have. The museum has done a wonderful job providing them with really great information, not only about the markers, but historic buildings in the area. They really are just wonderful. But we do have a wonderful poster that has all of the 6 markers on them so that everybody is here today can look at that. And we're going to ask the docents now to unveil